Yes, yeah, I know. I know, but he can't hear you. It's fine. Okay, I'll try to get you in to talk to him at some. And the oh, yes, I. Hi guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I'm Connor Coggins, and we pressed record, and I'm confused. You normally jump in with such energy, but what was going on there?
I'm being bothered by my friend here.
I love how I was turning as if I could see your screen. I legitimately just turned to try to see more of your screen, but that's not how this works.
Well, he wants to be on
Well,
screen.
move the camera. I mean, let me see him.
Well, I'm gonna move so he can step in because he wants to be on camera. He wants to say hi to Commander Cockins and the Trekyards
Well,
guys.
hey,
so.
I'm open to fans. I mean, I know everyone has cloaks in the future, but better to talk with them turned off.
This is my imaginary friend. Well, I grew up with this friend, and I can see him, I can hear him, and no one else can. And it gets quite frustrating sometimes. So, anyway, what are we here to talk about today, Samuel? Because
I mean,
I have no idea.
That intro was clearly the thing. So in this season, keep turning, aren't you? In this season, we have two characters introduced: Adira and Gray. One Trill, one human with a Trill symbiont in them, which is pretty radical. And throughout the course of the season, the Gray personality, the Gray soul, the Gray memories, the Gray what else has talked to Adira, very minimally, and also left them for a while. And at the end of the season, was given a hollow form somehow, and able to interact with Kolber and Saru and hug, etc. And then you get this somewhat sad ending of the like Lieutenant, I don't want to go. That moment of despite being an obvious solution to the problem. And then we lead in season 4, which some people called it a unsatisfying arc. I call it a great setup. Certainly one of the weirder aspects of the season. I'll let you say what we think about the whole thing as presented in a second. It's one of the weirder things, although it feels like a slow burn situation rather than a full story in and of itself. So, and obviously I've got a theory specifically in a minute, but give me your overall thoughts how it kind of was presented over the course of the season.
I totally agree. It's totally a slow burn setup. It was something that I didn't think was going to get resolved this season, and I'm glad it didn't. It's a perfect thing to stretch over another season and be like a C plot throughout the whole season. It's important enough. I mean, you got a symbiont that was in a Trill. The Trill died after having it for like a week. Or something. We don't know how amount of time that Gray had it.
Short. It was short time.
Exactly. And then it's immediately put into a human, which of course, doesn't happen very often, if at all. And having trouble accessing the memories, and then Gray's there, but nobody else can see Gray. But Adira can. She can see him and hear him, and then it's like an imaginary friend almost. And Gray's lost. Gray can't. Can't be seen, and it feels like, Gray, he wants to be acknowledged. He wants to belong. He's not communicating with the Trills like he's supposed to be. Like, he just knows something's wrong. Like, something is going on.
Well,
here,
it's not existing. I mean, how much can you be happy with one person where you can't touch anything, you can't do anything, and you can't leave their sight? Because without their sight, you're not there.
And I really think it's a metaphor for trans people, LGBTQ community, as feeling not seen or not acknowledged. I think that's what they're going. That's where they're going with it. As Star Trek tends to do, the social commentary. They're talking about important issues, and I think that's kind of the vibe that I've got from it. That they're there, but they're not acknowledged or they're ignored, and I think that'll tie into the solution to the problem. It's interesting that the holodeck did realize that he existed, and it gave him a holographic form. So there's something going on there. I don't know if he's a ghost or what the situation is.
Yeah, and I have theories in a second, which is why I want to talk about it, because I see a pathway. And so I love that metaphorical thing, because we didn't want this to be, you shouldn't hire people for the sake of it. They should have a reason and a purpose and be utilized, and they were utilized very well. They're not important characters in the grand scheme, but they are important in the way they're used. But if we're given time to like them for who they are, by giving them small scenes, then you just care. It's not about a big story, it's about a small story. And you want small stories, but you can't give them highlights because they're not, you know what I mean? So it was a good balance and allows them to be naturally in season 4 and just part of the fabric. You know, I can't see the Gray character being important in the grand scheme, but it's important to Adira, and Adira's a, you know, clever engineer. So it all works. So what I find interesting is that the whole situation is a contradiction, right? It shouldn't happen. I think that's them telling us there's going to be a nice payoff, because we only have that one example of Trill and human collab, and it was Riker and TNG. Obviously, that was very early Trill, but I mean, it's still canon. Whatever you say, even John Van Sidder's recently said something about that, and it's like, hey, canon's still canon. It's like, okay, great. So there is canon. Moving on, you know, where he was able to take a Trill symbiont and fully access the memories, etc. Took over, although that took over the brain at that point, so it was slightly different how we associate Trill. But you know, it wasn't Riker anymore; it was the ambassador, the diplomat. But only could have for, I think it was less than a week, like 4 or 5 days, and then it was causing sickness in the human host. It's not designed for that, and he was going to die. Pulled him out, great. But it is possible, just not possible long term. The Adira situation, worked. You know, almost end of story. Obviously, this is now a 31st century Trill, 31st century human. Genetics have changed slightly, but
31st century medical tech as well.
Yeah, as well. But the people on Trill are just like, this is A, an abomination, and B, it's impossible, doesn't work, never happened before. So it's clearly a, you know, just like that says Zahil, just like Sakal, it's one of those 1 in a trillion, but it's interesting for plot. And so yes, you put an unworkable thing. Now, obviously, Adira was able to access the memories for a certain amount of time, and then was acting as if a Trill for one scene, but then reverted back to the Adira acting without any undertone of a Trill, which implies to me either the actor wasn't directed as such, or just, you know, that is not a thing anymore, or the Gray personality taken over a bit. But we know that in previous episodes you can access the memories of previous hosts that are still sort of in the side of the symbiont, not literally as just a solid personality, but it's like, you know, their essences, whatever. And you can access them, and you can even put them on other people temporarily. But you can't do that without the sciencey stuff, without the, you know. And so the Gray personality is a incorrect use of the Trill substructure, which tells me it's different. But of course it's a human. So I'm assuming that the reason the computer was able to interpolate and get Gray is because that's nothing we've ever seen before. That maybe because the Trill and the human are so different that the Trill actually inside Adira still kind of like kept its old operating system, as it were, because it can't actually meld with Adira, and so it's still trying to bring a Gray into the world as its last existent host, as the overall personality, but can't quite get there because obviously Adira's body is stopping it as being a incompatible species. And so, you know, obviously it'd be nice if then the symbiote just went to another Trill, that would solve the problem. But that person is still fully formed because it wasn't able to meld in any meaningful way. That's why when the hollow emitters automatically scanned, it scanned the Adira's brain and then the Trill symbiont as a separate entity because they're not properly joined. Because why would they be? They're not Trill. That can't happen. That's not how that works. And it happened easily, automatically, and without any sort of programming. So it has to be enough of a strong personality type. And given that Gray also doesn't feel like a Trill, just feels like a Gray personality, it's kind of got corrupted in the transfer, you know, between things. Because it died instantly, you know, very, very abruptly, etc., etc. So I'm thinking that we're going to get, you know, the reason we can pull Gray out is because we can pull the symbiont out, or we can pull the, you know, there's something weird that went on here. Adira does not need to be a Trill. The Trill part of Adira adds nothing at all. So I'm hoping that we see either the symbiont go to someone else, and then, or maybe they can clone a new Gray body. I don't know, something of a line where it isn't properly formed, and we need to bring it out. Because I'm assuming they was going to use the same actor because the actor, you know, is useful for the show, etc. So maybe a hollow wouldn't quite work because then it's not still a personality. It doesn't have a future, you know. But I can see it being... I think they're going to play it as off as it didn't work, and therefore there'll be two entities. Because all Adira wants is Gray. Doesn't want to be Trill anymore, and feeling a Gray personality isn't enough. So I think we'll get something like that. And it was a hint that, you know, they're not connected enough. Whereas you assume that if you tried to take a symbiont out of, say, if you took the symbiont out of old man Dax before Curzon, that Curzon may die, may not be right anymore. Like it's you're committed once you've got a trill in you, right? But if it's not properly joined, then maybe Adira will be fine when removing the trill, and that I think they're leading into. So there you go. That's my kind of theory with how they're presenting it. Like it's not a real melding, and therefore they're going to play, because it's what they're doing is not what you can do, but that's why it's special. It's that 1 in a trillion.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Actually, I really like that. And yeah, I can see them coming out with some kind of new body for Gray, whether it be a clone or an artificial body of some sort. And whether we're moving the whole Trill symbiote into it or how that would work exactly, I'm not sure. But yeah, there's going to be something like that happening. And I like the fact that the computer scanned both the Trill and Adira as 2 separate beings instead of one joined Trill. It is a future holodeck program, so that's really very interesting. And I love that perhaps Gray didn't get incorporated into the symbiote like he should have been upon his death. Yeah, it leaves a lot of story possibilities for sure for season 4. So
yeah, I think they put enough hints there because, like we said, that there's all these precedents, but none of them apply to the show. So they're doing something unique, and if they planned it all through and clearly want his characters to stay around, etc. And then I just think it's interesting enough of a Star Trek concept. What is it like to be the first? This is a case study. The first human Trill successful join. I don't think it'll be successful forever. And that's okay. I don't think it's meant to be. And if they want to go full Picard, they can make a synth organic body and put.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Feels a little more forced though, because as you said previously, you're then putting a dead body, a dead consciousness or a dead entity into a body, and then you start saying, well, what if you just scan someone's brain or transport a pattern and you put that into a replicant body? Now death is gone. You said that previously, like you shouldn't just be able to do that. So there are moral lines. But obviously if they do say the argument that the way that Gray died didn't actually die, and in fact you could, and this would become interesting, what if the Gray personality, the reason Adira can't access the memories properly is because the Gray personality kind of got dumped from the actual physical brain into the symbiont, and it's kind of like taking up the hard drive space of the symbiont, and so it's also overriding everything else. So to save the symbiont, you got to remove Gray, and therefore it's like we got 3 entities here, a memory pattern, a very old symbiont, and a human. I think we can justify creating a fake, synth body for them just to save all 3, and that would be a fun storyline and a way of justifying it not being too radical.
No, that's brilliant. I really like that.
Boom!
I think that's probably the way they will go. And yeah, that's great.
Because it's Star Trek.
Bravo.
Thank you. And you didn't know where I was going with this, did you? The whole episode.
No, I didn't. But I knew there was a discussion to be had here for sure. So
basically, they've shown us they can write better Star Trek, and so I'm more open to these sorts of really interesting ideas. That they can do them. So yeah, there you go. I'm done. What do you guys think?
Very nice. Yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys thought. I can't really expand on it much more than that. I think that was a great
Pitch
idea,
meeting.
and definitely it's Star Trek. Anything can happen. It's sci-fi. That's the point. And I think they opened up a door to many possibilities with this one. So that's awesome.
But let's hope they stick the landing, as we said.
Yes. So let us know in the comments down below what you think about this idea. Do you have any other ideas of your own? Put it down there as well. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click the notification bell icon so you get notified when we do live discussions, sometimes on things like this, where you can have your voice heard live and be part of the community, and we'll talk about your thing kind of in real time with you and expand on your ideas. So please consider doing all those things.
And of course, everything we make is for free, and we love that because we want you all to enjoy these conversations. They are being made to be watched, etc. And if you want to say thank you or support or ensure more shows like this keep coming throughout 2021, etc. I mean, we've got a big track record, so we're good for it. Patreon is a great way, really, really great way, or join the channel on YouTube monthly service. There's the join button, please try. Super chat during lives, we love it. It's kind of our favourite way of direct interaction, and just PayPal at trekyards@hotmail.com if you want to. Any are great, all are awesome, and none are okay, as long as you click like.
That's right. So until next time, guys, he wants to say goodbye.
He's Captain Foley. I'm Connor Cockings, and there you go.
Well, he's done now. He said goodbye, so I hope you could hear him.
Sure did. Yeah.
Until next time, bye.